Good morning and welcome to the P1 podcast. I'm Joel and I have the pleasure of sitting here with one of my good friends, Jeff Coburn, and he's an apprentice at P1 Manufacturing. And Jeff's got a pretty interesting story on how he arrived at P1 and how he became an apprentice. And he also has, he had the ability to learn from a very good mentor in Jeff Roof. And that's more of a traditional style apprenticeship in my opinion because Jeff is an old school tool maker. And when he teaches you, he commands respect. And if you don't listen, he's going to let you know. And in my opinion, that's a real good way to learn how to be a machinist. So with no further ado, I'm going to let Jeff give his story of how we met and how he became a P1 employee.
Hi, morning. My name is Jeff Coburn. I've been with P1 for about 3 years total. I did step away for a year or two to try something different, but then something kept bringing me back, and here I am again. But yeah, to jump on what Joel was saying, I did learn from a nice mentor, Jeff Roof. He was definitely tough at times, but that is definitely the old school way, and it was for the best in the end.
The one thing that's neat about that is Jeff was actually one of my mentors when I went through my apprenticeship, and he hasn't changed a bit. He's a jack of all trades. That guy knows a lot of tricks. He does some intricate setups on manual machines and wire EDMs, and he's a vital part of what P1 is today by what he's done as far as training guys and the work that he does. And he actually has, lived a dream of his by starting his own business, and we actually farm work to him right now. So it's nice to see his career come full circle, all because of P1.
Yeah, and I often think when I'm doing setups, like, all right, how would Jeff do this?
Right.
And there's a lot of shortcuts that he's shown me to make the good setups. It's all in the setup in the end, right?
That's right.
But
machining is kind of like anticlimactic. It's all about the setup, and then you just have to drill one hole or something,
Yep.
But it's getting to that point that's the difficult part of machining sometimes.
Right. And once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
But it all takes time. So yeah, I started in the machining program at night at Hudson Valley.
That was back in 2016.
2016. Yep.
And that's when I first met you.
I was
Hudson
currently
Valley.
working for GE at the time.
Yeah.
And they had a program there to go to school to learn to be a machinist over there. And it's definitely sparked my interest. I don't know if it was because going at night was more my speed, 1 or 2 classes at a time instead of 5 or 6 during the day.
I think that throughout apprenticeship, if you can go to work during the day and then school at night, it allows you while you're working to develop questions that the schooling can answer at night. You know what I mean? It gives you an opportunity. Like if you just go to school and the teachers fill your head full of everything, you don't know what you're going to need for your career. Right. But if you're actually working, then you're like, oh man, I got to figure this out because I got a job coming up. Yeah, and then you can ask your instructor and they can help you out.
You see the problems firsthand right in front of you.
Exactly.
And you can apply it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Not to dismay guys that go for engineering or something, but there's a lot of book smarts, and then when they get on the floor, they don't quite understand it as much as the guys that are doing the job on the floor every day.
Yeah, we see that. Yeah, definitely.
Because of that reason, you have to see what you're learning.
Yeah,
and it absolutely helps.
Now, I don't, to touch on personal things, I don't want to get too in depth, but while you were going to school, you went through a divorce.
I did.
And that was kind of tough on you because I could see your grades were struggling, and you actually got to the point where you stopped going to school.
Yeah. It was hurry up and get my life back together, figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But luckily they had a life work credit experience for the classes. The one class I missed, and then I made up the other class down the road. So yeah, there was a brief moment where life happened and there was a bit much going on, but and
it happens to everybody. That's life.
Does. You don't think it's going to happen, but it happens.
Yeah, and it's tough to balance work, school, home life, and all that.
Yeah,
and I mean, you had kids you had 2
Raising
daughters,
2 kids at the time. There was a lot going on there, but I had a good teacher, Mr. Joel Leip, and he helped me come back and realize what I need to do.
We had a lot of fun down there at the school. I mean, we're there late. A lot of times we didn't get out of there till 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back, going to work the next morning.
Well, I think we were both getting phone calls from your wife. Where is he?
Where is he? He is not still at school. We were at the bar, but no, I was just kidding. But it was a good time down there, and you worked on a capstone project.
Yep, amongst a couple other things. But that was fun. It was a good time. We had a good crew. I still stay in touch with the guys here and there. But yeah, it was a nice pace for me. I know school is not for everybody, but this apprentice program I'm in now with Package 1, it's very similar where I'm still working, but I'm learning on the side and when I can fit it in and making my knowledge that much better. So I'm a lot better for the company. I'm better for myself. I'm better for my family. You know, you're never too old to learn. I know that's corny, but it's true. So
we hired you on board, and you weren't in the apprenticeship. You were just working. And then you made a decision to try something else.
Yep.
And I kept in touch with you the whole time. You know, you didn't burn any bridges or anything like that. And then there was a time when you called me up and you're like, hey, you know, I was thinking about possibly coming back. And I was like, I'd love to have you come back. And to me, that's just proof that, you know, even if you leave P1, it's kind of still in your heart. It's a place where you've got a lot of friends and a lot of good camaraderie, and guys are always willing to help you out, and we're always willing to bring you back if you're willing to come back.
And that is actually exactly it. I miss the guys.
Right.
I miss the laughs.
Yeah.
I miss working with everyone, just seeing everyone. And the biggest part for me is you're not just a number at P1.
Yeah.
You matter. Your voice matters. Your opinion matters.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more satisfying at the end of the day knowing you made a difference.
Certainly.
Than just clocking in.
I remember one time there was actually an email that you sent to Dave. He showed me. You just expressed your appreciation for how much everybody was understanding when you went through some health issues and everything. And we're not going to crucify anybody if they're sick and they have to be out for a little while, or if they have kids and their life happens, right? But I know we had the Good Friday. David gave us Good Friday off, and you were there working. Yep. So that's one of those things where, like, we helped you out, and then you helped us out on that day. So it's nice to see that relationship go both ways. And I'm proud of you, Jeff, because I see a guy that started out machining at a larger company, and you had it, you had it made there. You were making good money and everything, but you took it upon yourself to come to P1, which is a little more challenging, I think, and probably way more stressful,
right?
But way more rewarding in the long run, because you're going to come out with journeyman's papers at the end of your apprenticeship, and a skill set that you're going to have throughout your life. I mean, nobody can take away the knowledge that you've gained, wherever you go with it.
Right.
Hopefully you stay at P1
and
train the next generation.
That's the plan.
We try our apprentices, we try to move them around a little bit. Even yesterday we had you cross training on the lathe a little bit with Nick Toomey, and he was coming in and learning some EDM stuff. You guys work on very similar product lines. As a matter of fact, some of the parts that Nick makes, you actually do subsequent work on.
Right.
And it's nice when you can respect what he does and he respects what you do, because you guys are working on the same product line.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't want to make a mistake on something he's done, and vice versa.
And we can give each other feedback
and
not get upset with each other.
That's right.
That's the kind of relationship everybody has in that place. Like, listen, could you please do it this way? Because it'll make it much better for me.
And that communication is that's something that we learned in school during the capstone project. Everybody's working on parts that have to mate with the next guy's parts. And if you don't have your fits right and your tolerances are wrong, come assembly, you got problems. Yes. And we learn that every year at capstone.
Yeah,
but
that's part of the journey. Right?
That's where you want to learn. It's in school.
Yeah.
And then you can fine tune that in the industry. Anything you want to add, Jeff, about your P1 journey, or things that you like about the company, something you wouldn't change, something you would change?
Just to reiterate on not feeling like just a number. I mean, just the amount of communication that is delivered from upstairs or management level whoever.
Yeah.
We have the quarterly meetings. We have luncheons quite often, which nobody's going to complain about that.
Yeah.
But just the communication in general is,
Right.
I mean, of course, there are times where
Oh, sure. You get
everybody
busy.
has their faults of something slips by, but 100% the communication is there.
And that's important too, because you worked at another company where you're kind of in the dark until, the crap hits the fan.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, there's layoffs and this and that. And it's like,
Right. So I never feel like I'm out of the dark or I'm going to be surprised with something that's going to affect me negatively.
And we actually had you speccing out a new piece of equipment, a new wire EDM.
Yeah, that was another thing. You guys put the trust in me to go check out some new EDMs. And
So you had the opportunity to go basically with salesmen to different facilities.
It's a nice 2-hour drive out to Connecticut.
Check out different pieces of equipment. Get wined and dined by a salesman.
That was a good experience.
But it's important that you go through that because you're picking out the piece of equipment that you're ultimately going to run.
Correct.
And it's not like we're throwing something in your lap and saying, here, you got to deal with this.
Right. You gave me the options and choices to figure out which one would best suit package one and myself.
Yeah.
And for the future.
Right. And you had a nice presentation laid out for Dave and everything and all the information. And it was nice to see you go that extra mile. Yeah. I could see that you enjoyed that process.
I did.
Now, we haven't bought the piece of equipment yet, but I swear to you, it's going to happen because we got the work coming.
Right.
And with all the, the different types of parts that we're doing, that's an older EDM that we're running right now. We definitely have to upgrade.
Yeah. But there's, jumping on that subject, there's opportunity. That package one.
Right.
And when I first signed on, you sent me away to learn the CMM.
Exactly.
I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
So I still have that in my back pocket.
Every one of those certificates that you gain is just it's like another feather in your cap, and the journeyman certificate will be the icing on the cake.
I mean, pretty soon Dave's not going to be able to afford me. I'm going to be so valuable to you guys. But
exactly.
No, but the opportunities here are wonderful, and the people are wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I left a large company and came to work for the quote unquote small guy, but growing very fast.
Yeah.
And it's a lot better work environment, and I go home a lot happier.
That's good. And you're close to home.
I am close to home.
Right. So if you got to hop out and, pick the kids up from school or take them to an appointment, we're flexible on that.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Very.
And, we appreciate the fact that you're flexible enough to come back and finish off a job if it needs to get done. So it goes both ways.
It does. Give and take.
You got it. So, Jeff, how many years did you work at GE before you came to P1?
I was there for 8 years.
You were at GE for 8 years prior to coming to P1.
Yes.
And that previous experience actually helped you at Hudson Valley because you were able to use that to get your degree for the machining class. That was counted as previous credit. And then you've put in 3 years at P1 before you actually got on the apprenticeship. And all that previous experience will help you when you're getting your journeyman certificate at P1. So if anybody out there has previous experience at other employers, we definitely look at that as a good asset to have.
Yeah, it was definitely easier to apply for the program itself, knowing that I had the previous skills and knowledge to put forth.
And you were working in the same field, the power generation field, which is one of our core competencies at P1, definitely.
Yeah. So that was a big part of, again, just applying for it in general. Because I know it can be a bit undertaken to look at as a whole, how long it could take.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big help for sure.
Yeah. So right now you have to put in 8,000 hours towards your journeyman's papers. It's on the job training. I know it looks like it's a big pill to swallow, but with the amount of work you're putting in, it's going to go quick.
Yep. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going anywhere. I'll put the hours in and it'll get done.
Excellent.
And another year or two will go by and I'll say, oh, I could have been this further along if I just went for it. So you just got to get in and go for it.
Another nice thing about the apprenticeship is as you're learning, you're also teaching because you're cross-training other guys and showing them what's going on. So the learning, it's coming and it's going, right?
Yeah, every day I'm learning something. Yeah. It's really true. Again, not to be corny, but it's
I
true.
feel like I'm learning every day.
day.
The industry changes so much. We get new tools and we get new ways of doing things and new machines in, and it's like it's a never-ending process.
And all it takes is one guy to say, "Hey, you could do it this way." Like,
How many
I've been
times
doing
does
this
that
for
happen?
3 years. What do you mean?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
No, it's great. It's never the same thing every day. We might work on the same parts
Yeah.
here and there, but it's not, every day you're working on one part over and over
Right.
and over again.
And you work in an area that's like the final stop before the parts go out the door. So you're getting fed by multiple work centers.
Oh, yeah.
The lathes, the mills, sometimes just raw material comes in.
Yep.
And you hear the knock on the door and everybody says, Jeff, when's that going to be done? The
Yep.
truck's waiting. The
Yep.
box is built.
But again, it's not the same thing every day, so it changes things up.
Yeah.
Which keeps you fresh, keeps you thinking.
Yeah.
You don't get stale,
Yeah,
if
the
you
days go by pretty quick.
will. Oh, yeah, they do.
You're always looking at the clock, looking for another hour, not wishing that hour would go by quicker.
This is true, but you know what? I'd rather have it that way than watching the clock and just waiting and waiting. That makes for one long day.
That's for sure. All right, Jeff, I appreciate the information today. And if anybody out there is looking for a career in manufacturing, we'd love to have you stop by and check out P1. You can get in touch with us at p1ind.com, and we hope to hear from you.